What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Baby Baseball channel. It's February 20th, 2024. Spring training is underway. Games are going to begin in about 24 hours. But there are several MLB stars and a lot of really solid players who can help a team who remain unsigned. Not just the big top guys I'm about to talk about, but JD Martinez, Mike Clevinger, Michael Lorenzen, Tommy Pham, Noah Syndergaard, Hyunjin Ryu, Evan Longoria, etc., etc. A lot of really solid names. Donovan Solano, Donnie Barrels, unsigned. And yes, those names I just mentioned are not necessarily superstars. Some of them used to be. Some of them are past their prime. Some of them are not necessarily elite. But they can definitely help a team unsigned. Why? I think a big reason is because of the big four who are also unsigned, and a lot of teams just waiting, hoping they land one of them, and that may be why some of these other guys are still unsigned. So we have Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and Matt Chapman, all unsigned as spring training begins, and they are all Scott Boras clients. If you don't know Scott Boras, he's one of the biggest, or the biggest agent in Major League Baseball, and he is known for getting his players maximum money. And this situation has sparked a lot of debates over whether or not it's a good idea for baseball to create a free agent signing deadline. I'll give my thoughts on implementing a deadline in a moment, but in general, I would say no, it's not great for baseball what's happening right now. Spring training is kicking off with multiple top players unemployed. However, Scott Boras has demonstrated that he'll wait out the market as long as it takes to get the absolute maximum amount of dollars for himself and his players. He's not worried about the health of the game or fan excitement at spring training or anything else but getting himself and his players paid. And that is his job, and he's proven to be quite good at it. But this offseason has been particularly frustrating because there's more top players than usual still unsigned and a lot of really good players still unsigned, like I said. And I believe one of the biggest issues is that all four of these players have major question marks. They're not consistent top players year in, year out who are all but guaranteed to be worth a massive multi-year deal. They're very good, if not great players. I'm not trying to slam them, but let's just be honest. Cody Bellinger was not even that big of a free agent last offseason after he hit under 240 for 3 straight seasons, including a dreadful 2021 when he hit just 165 with a 240 on-base percentage. He was almost sent back to AAA. There were rumors he might get sent down. And after he hit just 210 in 2022, he was lucky to land a one-year deal with the Cubs. I was shocked they even paid him $17+ million. But Bellinger found his stroke with the Cubs, and last year he hit .307 with 26 bombs and drove in 97 runs, taking home a Silver Slugger. Now all of a sudden, Boras thinks that his client is Babe Ruth and deserves a massive $200+ million multi-year deal. But teams have to be thinking, what if he hits 165 again? He's also had an injury history. Okay, he had a great year. He deserves a contract. He's going to continue his big league career, and he's going to get paid nicely. But $200 million? Then there's the reigning Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell, who had a great season with a 2.25 ERA, but he also led the league in walks. And he also had a FIP of 3.44, which is supposed to be the more realistic ERA when you take luck out of the equation. So he might have been a little bit lucky to have that 2.25 ERA. I'm not saying he didn't have a great year. I'm not saying that. But like I said, he led the league in walks. And if you go back the previous 4 years in between his 2 Cy Youngs, because he also won one in 2018, from 2019 to 2022, 4 years, he was good. He wasn't spectacular. He didn't get Cy Young votes. I don't even think he made an all-star team. He was fine. Solid. But now that he's had this Cy Young year, all of a sudden, Boras thinks he deserves $200 to $250 million on a 6 to 8 year deal. I'm sorry. I can see why teams are like, no, there's no way. And I'd love to have him in San Francisco. But for $200 million plus, 6+ years, I don't know about that. And I'm not trying to beat up on these guys. They're good players. But even Matt Chapman and Jordan Montgomery, they haven't been the most consistent players. Montgomery's never even made an all-star team. I mean, they're fantastic players. They can help a team. But if Boras expects some team to pay them, like we're talking about the next coming of Babe Ruth or Bob Gibson, situations like this are going to keep happening. And I don't see much we can do about it. I mean, of course, they're going to have to eventually sign, come back down to earth with their expectations, or not play, or maybe some team will get desperate and actually pay this much and overpay for them. But I kind of hope that doesn't happen. I hope that they get paid what they deserve based on their career and, yeah, based on the fact they're coming off a solid year. They deserve a nice contract, but let's keep it realistic. As for a signing deadline, I see why Manfred and MLB want one. Making sure all the key free agents are already signed when spring training rolls around will make people more focused on the season and on actual games here in late February, as opposed to still talking about the hot stove. So it'll definitely also help other free agents get signed. Guys like Michael Lorenzen, who are still out there because teams are hoping and praying that they land someone like Blake Snell instead. So they don't want to sign Lorenzen and get that money locked up in him and get that rotation spot locked up with him when they still might be able to get Snell. So it would really free up the free agent market. So everybody can sign. Everybody who deserves to sign will have signed by this date. The date would also create an insane and exciting signing frenzy that YouTubers like myself would go live to cover, and it would be awesome for me. So selfishly, yeah, it would be pretty cool. But when you think of the players, I'm not sure I like it. It gives too much power to the owners. Now they have less incentive to meet the demands of the players. They don't have to improve their offers much because players have no choice. They got to sign before this deadline. And yeah, they still got to compete with the other 29 teams. But, you know, owners have been known to collude, and this feels like an easy opportunity to do so without even necessarily talking to each other. They kind of would understand, like, let's keep our offers low because players have to sign before this deadline. And then what happens if a player doesn't sign before the deadline? Are they like screwed? They missed the season? Or do they have to wait till spring training's over so they miss spring training? Or would they be restricted to like a one-year deal or something? So there'd be a lot of question marks. We'd have to see how the actual system would work. There's a lot of details I'd have to see to have a final opinion, but in general, I don't see how it would work, and I definitely don't see the union agreeing to it, and I would probably disagree with the deadline, even though for me, selfishly, it would help me, but for the sake of the players, I don't think it would work. The way the system is now, I mean, this is just how it is. If agents want to act like their player is the greatest thing since sliced bread, they're just going to have to wait it out. And yes, spring training won't be quite as exciting, but there's still great players in spring training. A lot of great players have signed. Trout is on a team. Ohtani's on a team. Most of the top players are on a team. That's my point. These four guys aren't as great as they seem to think they are. So it's a little frustrating because I can't even start my team previews until I know where these guys are going to sign. But that's the nature of negotiations, and Scott Boras can wait it out all he wants. I hope nobody gives Cody Bellinger $250 million. I mean, be happy for him, but I just don't think that it makes sense. He's been inconsistent. He's had injury issues, and no, I mean, one solid season doesn't mean all of a sudden he's the 2019 MVP that he was back then, or that he's going to repeat that year. You know, it proves something. It shows that, hey, maybe this guy's figured out his swing, and sure, a lot of teams would love to have Bellinger. I'd love to have Bellinger, but not for some insane contract. I'm sorry. But let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Spring training's here, and I'll be there in Arizona on February 23rd to cover spring training. I can't wait. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.